Well, as the weekend is drawing to a close, that doesn't mean we have to end things here. So, today's episode, we're going to have four reviews. Three of them are from three different Japanese promotions. The first one is ChocoPro 356 with some very interesting matches taking place. Then we move on with Stardom's Supreme Fight. Now, as you all know, I actually did a news update about the situation. But let's get to the entirety of the event, and we'll talk about that story at another time and another video. We move on with, of course, with New Japan Pro Wrestling. As you know, we are at the road to new beginning. Certain things are very interesting taking place as the war between the United Empire and the War Dogs rages on. The House of Torture, once again with their shenanigans, claiming they are the good guys, even though they're the bad guys, still goes on as well. Then we move on finally with NXT Vengeance Day. We will see certain matches taking place. The North American title is on the line, so is the NXT Women's title and the NXT Championship. But most importantly, who wins in the Dusty Road Tag Team Classic? So we will see what happens until then. And also there are no news updates today since majority of it I actually focus on the situation with Rossi. So free of news updates from here on out. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storyline, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do more news updates on real time and what's going on, and also the Unagi Sayaka watch and various other cool things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button, or you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews or other cool stuff as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin with ChocoPro 356. It opened up once again with Chico Shikawa, who is still out on injury, opening up the show, giving the lowdown again, as always, with what's happening with the matches, who's involved, the whole 9 yards, which is fantastic. Now, our first match, we have singles action. We have Sayaka Obihiro taking on So What? That's right, Shon Shido. Now, if you guys don't know this, that's his catchphrase now. So what? Because that's always been his catchphrase. In case anybody gets confused. So anyway, this was nothing typical, but very interesting match. Now, Sayaka Obihiro is a bit of a she likes to show off just a little bit. But Chonchito, he's the kind of guy who's like, I'll do this and do that. But he's always been a very capable wrestler. But unfortunately, he had ended up using a submission on Sayaka Obihiro, forcing her to tap out. Our next match, we have Sawadi Kamen taking on Tokiko Kirihara. Excuse me. So, a much interesting match, but no storyline that says it all. But I have to say, Tokiko using her high rising striking kicks always been effective. But when it comes to Sawadi, he's a lot more different. He's towards to be the aggressor sometimes to pick up the match, and that's always been who he is. but he did pick up the win when he pinned Tokiko, and that was pretty much it from there. Now, our main event of this show, we have a trios action. We have Nonoka Seto. She teams up with the Best Bros, Mei Shiruga and Balinaki. They take on Mochi Natsumi, Emi Sakura, and Masahiro Takanashi. Now, keep in mind, Masa and Sakura have always had a bit of a rivalry with the Best Bros during time. But what I find interesting also, those who don't know this, those who do as well, um, Nonogaseto's older sister, Miya, was in fact Mochi Natsumi's tag team partner. So it's interesting to see now. Like, my opinion, I think Mochi would think, okay, now I'm facing the little sister. I want to know what she's all about, and I think maybe Mochi thought the same thing because she has faced Mia countless times, but now it's time for the older sister, the younger sister, to see what she's made of. But nonetheless, I've always seen Nonaka, who has a bit of a fire spirit all the time. I've seen her how she acts, but there are times whenever she almost crosses the line, she doesn't seem to realize it. But unfortunately, she ended up being in a diving body press by Emi Sakura to pick up the win. So, yep, basically that's how it goes. Now, for our Jonkin tournament, I was not too sure how this was going to go. However, there's certain moments I've always seen Balanaki. He's a bit of a slick now. Now he can try to pick up a few wins, but at some point he's gone. But to my surprise, it was Mei Shruga who won. So basically, she won the chocolate, and that's pretty much it. What goes on with ChocoPro. So I think that's pretty much it right now. Let's move on with Stardom. Okay, Stardom Supreme Fight. Now, as you all know, I did earlier in the day talked about the situation with Rossi, but that's another conversation at another time. If there's any more information regarding to what happened with Rossi, I will post it out as soon as possible. But for right now, let's focus on the entirety of the event, Supreme Fight. Let's start with the pre-show. There was a four-way that began. We have Rana Yagami, Hanako, Ruka, and of course Mai Sakurai. So this was a very interesting match. Now, however, this match ended in a very bizarre way. Well, Mai Sakurai put Ruka and who else? Ruka and Hanako in the Paradise Lock, the same move that Sonata uses, and but originally was with Milano Collection. While she took focused more on Rana Yagami until she posted her in the she put her in the Escarot, her submission move, and then after she tapped out, she put her in the Paradise Lock. So basically, all three of them were trapped. And once again, with her little shenanigans, being her ladyship, then later all of a sudden, Ruka got free thanks to her and got away with it. Decided to escape because she doesn't want to be around an annoying person like her, which I think that's what she was thinking of her. Now, our second pre-show match, we have Wingori, Saya Ida, and Hanan taking on Gadzai, Saki Kashima, and Ami Suri. Now, you would think that this is going to be a very interesting match because A, we know that Ami Suri and Hana have a bit of history. The history between the two, if you guys remember, it was Ami Suri who defeated Hanan for the future belt last year. But, however, this time it's a little different. It looks more like they're trying to outdo each other. But it was, of course, Hanan who picked up the win when she applied the 17 onto Kashima, giving her and her team the win. Now, our first match in the main card is the future of Stardom. Now, this is the belt where it's mostly about the rookies or the wrestlers who have been training for the last 3 years. We have Yuzuki as the challenger and Rina. Now, as you know, Rina, on the other hand, her purpose is to break her sister's record, Hanan. If you guys remember, Rina and Hanan are sisters. So basically, Hanan has the most consecutive victories as a future belt champion. Basically, she has 10. So Rina is determined to break that record. But since Yuzuki joining Stars, she said that she wants to be the one to break it. But Rina is not going to let that happen. But it was a pretty good match. But unfortunately, it was um, Rina with the Pink Devil that put her away, which is the Gory Bomb, and it was over. So I think this should be either her fifth or sixth victory defense. So we'll see what the results are. Our next match, we have Oedo consistent of Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora taking on Queen's Quest, Mayu Amasaki, and Lady C. Nothing significance of that, but however, you probably would think, okay, you have Momo who used to be a member of Queen's Quest, but she still has a lot of deep grudges against them. You probably know that that's going to be the focus on that, but it was Momo Watanabe with the Hito Danashi onto Lady C to pick up the win. Now, I will make this a note during the post match comments. Natsuko Tora issued a challenge against Julia for the New Japan Strong Belt. Now, there's a lot of talk about that, but that's another conversation as well that we need to talk regarding to the Rossi Ogawa thing. Now, our next match, this is one where we're expecting, but however, we did see Natsupo join the commentary team. We have Empress Nexus Venus, or as they know for short, EXV, Waka Tsukiyama and Mina Shirakawa, taking on Cosmic Angels, Yuna Mizumori, and the return of Tam Nakano. So yeah, this is the much anticipated match. But this moment, you can tell, Mina has never beaten Tam Nakano. I think she had lost to her at least 3 times in singles competition. The first one is when they first met back in 2020. The second time was in 2021 when Tam was still the white belt champion. The second time it was, of course, last year when they were fighting for the Double Crown Championship. So that was pretty much it. But Mina was being more methodical on this one because she knows that Tam Nakano has knee problems because that led to her to be out for nearly a couple of months. So she was being methodical, tried to injure Tam as much as possible. But however, it was Waka, in the other hand, who suffered the fate when she lost to her former friend and mentor, Tam Nakano, when she applied the Tiger Suplex. But you know Mina is not done with Tam. She would definitely will do whatever it takes to have that one match where she can finally beat her. But however, Tam Nakano announced in her post match that the road to Tam has just begun. So basically, she said that as this moment forward, chapter 1 is done. It's time to begin with chapter 2. But she did state it that she will be on the road the challenge for the red belt. So that is something we could definitely see. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, I believe, yes, we have the high speed title match. Azuki versus Mei Sita. Now, this is another good match, in my opinion. Now, we have seen very good matches when it comes to high speed. I think my personal favorite of all time has to be Azumi versus Mei Shiruga. But this one was a very interesting one. We know Azuki has been high speed champion before, but this time she's facing against someone who's very unique in some capacity. But I wasn't too sure how this was going to be. But however, this match ended in a time limit draw. You probably ask yourselves, how is it possible that it lasted this long? But I think Hazuki may have underestimated Meishida, or Meishida actually underestimated Azuki. I wouldn't be surprised if they would challenge each other again to see who will come out on top as the next champion. But that's another conversation for a later time. Our next match, we had a very interesting uh, 8-woman tag match. We have Zuzu Suzuki, Mirai, Suri, and Julia. They take on Nanane Takahashi, Asumi, Otami Ayashida, and Mayu Iwatani. So you can say there's like a bit of the all-star team in each side. I mean, yes, we have former members of DDM teaming with Julia, and of course Zuzu, who is friends with Julia on the same page. But however, we know that Mayu has teamed up with members of Queen's Quest and they work pretty well. But this time she's teaming up with Azumi and Nana Takahashi, someone who she's familiarized with. But there was moments where, of course, Mayu did the three-thumb kick. That's something that she's done in the past. But it was very effective. But in the end, it was, of course, Mayu with the moonsault onto Suzuki to pick up the win. So, not bad. Now, our next match, we have the Wonder of Stardom Championship, aka the White Belt. Starlight Kid as the challenger, taking on Sayori Onoe. Now, how did this match came about? Simple. We know in the past Starlight Kid has challenged for this belt before, but no luck so far. But however, she made this issue of the challenge not because she wanted to, it's because she's in disgust that the title is in the hands of someone like Sayori Onoe. Now, if you guys don't understand how this plays out, let me explain. Certain promotions don't like outsiders coming in and take their belts at all. It's always been like an insult. But when it comes to the white belt, that's a different story. So, but Starlight Kid believes that she will be the one to dethrone Sarunoi, then destroy it and build a brand new one with her image in it. But however, Sarunoi was not going to let someone like, of course, Natsupoi to try to destroy history and tradition. But it was a hard earned fight, but it only took a tiger suplex by Sayori Onoi to defeat the cat herself. But of course, Starlight Kid did have of some respect for her, knowing that she is one of the toughest challengers. Of course, Tam and Namizumori were right there, very happy to see that she walked away in her first defense. Now, our main event, we have the red belt, better known as the World of Stardom Championship. We have Saya Kamitani versus Micah. Now, these two ladies are no strangers to each other on various occasions. We know they have faced each other on multiple times. Um, Micah was unable to defeat Saya Kamitani for the white belt, so that was a big humiliation for Micah. But now, this is the interesting story. Now that Micah is the red belt champion, Kamitani has now saw exactly what Momo Watanabe saw. Remember, back then she was attempting to break the record for Momo's defense record that she has, but Momo had no interest of that because her full goal was, of course, the um, the red belt. Kamitani never understood it until she lost the belt to Mina. So basically, she saw the perspective that now she has a chance to maybe I should proceed the red belt. That's exactly. But Saya Kamitani spent the entirety of every prelude show that she's going to dethrone her. But Micah, she wasn't going to do it. But however, Micah was well prepared what Saya Kamitani did. She even countered certain moves of her. She even did Himika's running power bomb. So, but it only took two different Michinoku drivers, the first one and the second one, to put her away. So basically, this is Micah's defense record, but Kamitani disappointed that she did not win, but she did state it in the post-match comments, the Phoenix will rise and gain the white belt. But however, Micah made a reverse nomination, so she decides to challenge Tam Nakano. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. We know that Tam has defeated Micah before in singles competition, but I highly doubt that maybe Micah will beat her. And I highly doubt that this match between them will end in a who's going to win. I'm kind of predicting there's going to be a draw right here, which is unacceptable, but it's going to be interesting to see. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, as you know, with the situation going on with Stardom, I will talk more about that at another time because as soon as I get more information on the Rossy Ogawa being dismissed from Stardom, I will explain more of that to all of you. I think that's pretty much it with Stardom. So let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling as we continue with more The Road to New Beginning. This one took place just recently at Korakuen Hall. Now, it opened up with a very bizarre thing where the War Dogs were in fact attacking Jeff Cobb. Now, Jeff Cobb came out earlier to announce that, of course, he's unable to compete due to an injury, but the War Dogs attacked him completely to put him out. This is a way to, of course, David Finlay to try to dismantle the United Empire once and for all down at their steel cage match. But the obvious question does tell, will he be okay before the steel cage match taking place later on this month? We still don't know. But however, we know that Will Ospreay is currently doing another engagement. He's currently going to face against Michael Oku for the Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. But I don't know if he's been paying attention or what's going to happen. That's something we will find out at some other point. Now, our opening match, we have, of course, the House of Torture. Kanemaru, Sho, Yujiro, Ren Narita, and Evil taking on Shota Umino, Despi, Yoshihashi, Togi Makabe, and Oleg Bolton. However, certain aspects of this match has been raising. As you know, Sho has been taunting, of course, Desperado by taking his mask. Sho claims that he's the real star. But however, Desperado has no intentions of challenging him, so he's been ignoring him. But however, of course, Evil is really disturbed the fact that Tama Tonga told him to go after him for the never open weight title. But however, this match ended, of course, like usual with their shenanigans. Evil applied the everything is evil on Makabe to pick up the win. But during the post match, he feels that that Tama, who is an evil person, is not leaving everything alone. So he defaced the never open weight title, claiming that he's the good guy in this story. No, he's just a prick who cannot stand that he wants everything despite of his cutting shorts. But sooner or later, we know Shota Umino will take him on because, as you know, Shota's aim is to become the next ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, our next match, coming ahead to their upcoming match for the IWGP Tag Team titles, we have Bullet Club members Taiji Ishimori, Chase Owens, and Kenta taking on Maki Hamna and God, El Fantasmo and Hikuleo. So as you know, Chase Owens and Kenta has challenged for the IWGP Tag Team titles, but the real question does tell, where this is going to lie. So that pretty much tells it all. But however, it was, of course, Chase Owens with the package pile driver onto Hamna and pick up the win. And then, of course, they stole the belts, claiming that they are the winners. No, they're not. Apparently, if God were able to beat them at their next event, then they'll hold on to those belts for good. Now, our next match, we have TMDK, Kosa Fujita, Shane Hayes, Mikey Nichols, and Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Yo, Ryosuke Taguchi, Tomohiro Ishii, and of course Hiroshi Tanahashi. So this one has no significant storylines, but however, of course we know that Tanahashi has the one thing that he beat for against Zack Sabre Jr. title. But however, we know that of course there are moments where Zack Sabre Jr. is trying to sending a message to one particular person that he wants to get his hands on, and that is Bryan Danielson. As you know, Bryan Danielson, he claims he's the best technical wrestler, but Zack Sabre Jr. thinks otherwise, that he called him a coward, that he did not beat him by a technical wrestling move. He just beat him with a knockout. So we'll see what happens. But the match itself was great. But there was a really interesting moment that I like at the end where Taguchi was attempting to use submission techniques onto Zack Sabre Jr. But when it comes to Zack Sabre Jr., you fighting him in a submission style technique, you know he's the master of it. That's why they call him the technical wizard. So somehow he was able to, because we know that from viewing, Taguchi was attempting to do the Muto lock, but it was countered by Zack Sabre Jr. in a chokehold move, and Taguchi had no other choice but to tap. So, not bad right there. Now, our next match, we have just 5 guys. Taka Michinoku, Doiki, Yuya Uemura, Taichi, and Sanada. They take on LIJ's Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Yota Tsuji, and Shingo Takagi and Tetsuya Naito. Now, keep in mind, we know that Naito and Sonata will have another date with Destiny for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. But however, we know that there is some unfinished business with Yuya Uemura and Yota Tsuji. Now, Yota Tsuji always proclaimed that he is a much better capable wrestler than Uemura. But however, last time at the Wrestle Kingdom, it was Uemura who defeated him. But that kind of puts it out in a very interesting way. However, if you guys remember recently, Doiki actually pinned Hiromu Takahashi, and Hiromu was crying like a little girl over that. I'm like thinking, hope Doki can do it again and make him cry again. He will throw a fit. But, however, surprisingly, Yota Tsuji has been prepared against Yuya Uemura because, as you know, one of Uemura's finisher is the deadbolt. He was calculated he was going to use it, but this time Uemura applied a submission technique, the armbar on Tsuji, and picked up the win. This is something now that will drive Tsuji crazy. He knows he's good. He knows he can beat the wrestlers like Uemura, but beating him twice, that's unprecedented. So you know this feud between them will go on. Now our next match. Originally we were supposed to have Alex Coughlin versus Jeff Cobb, but however that wasn't the case. Jeff Cobb is out, and of course out of injury. Great Khan stepped up, but however this is a non-title match. So however this was a pretty tough match, but however I can tell you that it was Great Khan with the eliminator that ended things and giving him the win. Now, this next match, I like to say this is the most brutal, more death-defying match ever. Now, you know this is Gabe Kidd. He thinks that he is the shit. He thinks that he's better. He thinks he's the future ace. He thinks that everybody else are weak. But Henare, he's trying to show him that he is tough as nails. That was the entirety of the match, trying to outdo each other. But surprisingly, when the match was outside the ring in the pavement, there was a moment where they were in the top area. Gabe Kidd was about to jump off, but wham, sucker punch right in the face. You wouldn't expect that, but it was fantastic. But nothing. But however, these two men went to their limits. However, the match ended in a time limit draw. I wouldn't be surprised because if knowing Gabe Kidd, he's going to complain like he will not let that stand. I'm sure Hinari would do the same thing, but we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Calvin Newman taking on David Finlay. Now, David Finlay, as you know, his mission is to wipe out the history of Will Ospreay, to eradicate it once and for all, because he felt that Will Ospreay's legacy doesn't mean anything anymore. So basically, he wants to eradicate everything that he's worked for, like make it like it never ever existed. Starting with Calvin Newman, which of course is one of his much recent recruits. But Calvin Newman, I have to say, hold on his own. But unfortunately, it was of course a knee strike by uh, Finlay that picked up the win. Now our next match, we have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles again. We have the War Dogs, Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors, taking on Catch 22's TJP and Francisco Cara. So the match, in fact, was so brutalized. However, there were certain moments you would think that these two sides would exactly know what they're thinking. However, Drilla Maloney used the forks on Akira, which is the same thing that he used to make him to attack him the last time. So basically, now they found something that could destroy Akira, but Akira ended up on the wrong side of the full clip, and Maloney picked up the win by pinning him, and that was it. However, they decided to continue on to beat up the United Empire. But Finlay's message, he told him that he's not just going to defeat him. He wants him to watch his life's work to be tarnished, to be erased, to be eradicated, saying that it never will exist ever. That it like he wants it all gone, to be cleansed of his new reign. So that's pretty much what's going to happen. But we will see when that day happens of the steel cage. A lot of questions are being asked. Will Jeff Cobb be fine by that time? We don't know. But only time will tell. So let's move on with our last review, NXT Vengeance Day. Okay, NXT Vengeance Day. This is our last review for this particular episode. It opened up with the finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics. So who will walk out? Will it be the A-Holes or Trick and Mello? That's a good obvious question, but I think many of us were hoping it would be, of course, Trick and Mello. But the match was pretty amazing. It started out great with that on top, but however, of course, Trick has the opportunity to become double champion, but at the same time, he has to also know that he has Dragunov, not an easy wrestler to get involved with. But the last time they tangled, it fueled a little fire within him. But this time in this tag match, it was completely different. But there was a moment where, of course, Carmelo Hayes, in fact, sacrificed himself to save Trick, even though he was the legal man, but did allow for, of course, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin to become this year's Tag Team Classic. Now, there is the possibility they can challenge for the NXT Tag Team titles. So we'll just wait and see when that day comes. Now, our next match is a no disqualification match between Dijak and Joe Gacy. Now, Dijak did everything in his power to try to put enough pain onto Joe Gacy, but nothing seems like it's going to stop. Like he lives for this, and that's always been one of those creepy moments. But of course, we know that Gacy, he will do also great lengths to bring pain to him as well. I mean, we saw all kinds of stuff. I mean, lots of plunder, tape being used to blind someone's eyes, a lot of sharp objects. But of course, in the end, it was a nice knee strike by Dijak to put away Joe Gacy. But however, I don't know if you can call this officially over because you can see Gacy lying down like a dead duck with a smile on his face. Dijak, I don't know if he saw that. He's probably thinking, why is he smiling? I mean, if I was Dijak, I would not lower my guard down knowing that you defeat a guy like Gacy who is crazy as hell. That's the last thing you want to know. But we'll see. Now, as you know, the ladies of Chase U has released their own calendars in order to make money to, in fact, save Chase U. But, however, we did see later on. Seems like Riley Osborne is going to take out Hale on a date. But later on, we did see Lexis King, who is still trying to hit on Hale and trying to convince her, saying that Riley Osborne is not the guy for her. And of course, there's the beef. So it became now a battle of who's going to win Hale's heart. But yeah. Now, our next match is a grudge match between two groups, OTM and the family. Now, OTM, as you know, they claim that they are the ones that run the street. Last time they tangled with the family, Andrea Rizzo was the X factor that allowed for the family to continue. But that is until Jada Parker decided to step in as the person say, look, no one had Rizzo in their grasp. So that means I'm the one who's going to do it. So basically, that sets the whole thing. So this is more about who actually is running the streets of NXT. But you know, this is going to be a much brutal match no matter what it was going to turn out. But in the end, it was Tony D'Angelo who picked up the win when he put away uh, Lucian Price. 1, 2, 3, it was over. But the one question I asked myself, is this over between OTM and the family? We just got to wait and see. Now, Kira James and Izzy Dame, as you know, they cannot stand wrestlers like Roxanne Perez, who is determined to get back on top. But however, they have a new target in mind. They take on the future NXT stars like Kalani Jordan. They feel like she's a problem. They think that they deserve everything. So they're trying to cut their future. So Izzy Dame's assigned is to know more about her, try to exploit any weakness against her. But we will see if they can try. Now our next match is the NXT Women's titles. The women's title. Roxanne Perez and Lyra Valkyria. Now, the match was fantastic. It was great. You probably would think, okay, will Roxanne Perez regain the title that she never lost or lost during a submission? That's a good, obvious question. Now, there were moments of pop rocks being played, but it didn't work. But at some point, we did see Lola Vice coming in to cash in her contract for the NXT Breakout Tournament winner in the women's side. However, Tatum Paxley tried to stop her, but it did not. However, this match became a three-way. But how the reason this was a very clever move by Lola. She knows that Lyria and Roxanne Perez have wasted a lot of their energy against each other. So she thought that this would be a perfect moment for her to try to capture the NXT Women's title. But unfortunately, that did not do any well because she she ended up being on the Nightwish move by Lyria to retain the title. But we did see it later on where, of course, Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice will continue to face each other. I think Roxanne feels that Lola had no business being involved in this title match, so this could be into a blood feud. So I think that's yeah. Let's move on with our next match. Another title match, the North American Championship. Dragon Lee versus Oba Femi. Now, this is a clear case of David versus Goliath. So the obvious question is, will David would be able to defeat Goliath? I have to say Oba Femi has shown how tough and strong he can be. That's always been who he is from the very beginning. Dragon Lee is a fantastic wrestler. We know a lot about his reputation throughout Mexico and his other promotions he's ever been involved in. But unfortunately, he did not even come close to defeating Obafemi because Obafemi applied a power bomb and it was over right from there. Now, our main event is the NXT Championship. Trick Williams versus Ilya Dragunov. Now, this is the second time these two have tangled with each other. Last time they tangled, it was a very interesting experience for Trick. Now, Trick felt this match, the first encounter, was more of a wake up call for him. More like, now I can add fuel to the fire. And of course, Trick has determined to make a name for himself to jump into the NXT Championship conversation, and that's what he did. However, this is a very crucial match. You could say that this is one of those matches that there is the possibility that Trick can be the man to dethrone Dragunov. But unfortunately, some mishaps happened. The referee was taken out, so was Mello. But of course, Dragunov even used Trick right in front of Mello to show him how helpless he is. But unfortunately, Trick was so close in winning this match until Dragunov applied, of course, the Moscow torpedo, and it was over from there. So basically, and then even Mello showed up to say that he won, that he, no matter what, he won this match, that he will get back on a high horse. And then all of a sudden, Mello turned his back on Trick. Now, this was like possibly off the air. I'm not, because I did not hear no commentators. I'm going to presume this was off the air, but this was a brutal. And then, of course, Mello attacked Trick Williams in the knee, all of that. But the obvious question many people will probably answer, I know some of you will say, was it really Mello that attacked Trick? Because something did bother me a little bit. We completely forgotten what Dragunov said to Trick. So you ask yourself, did Dragunov knew who it was? I don't know. That's a good question. But I'm sure this coming Tuesday we will see what Mello has to say for what he did at Vengeance Day. And I think that's pretty much it. So like I said before, there's no news updates, so let's just call it a day. I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Now, as I said earlier, because I reviewed Stardom, the announcement was made about Rossy Ogawa being dismissed from Stardom. I know there's more to what's being said, so I may do a different news update by itself regarding to that. Now, a lot of people are saying certain things about the situation, but hopefully we get more what really was going on. So we'll see what happens. But for our next episode, I'm considering actually did learn that there is a New Japan show more of the Road to New Beginning, and of course Pro Wrestling Noah's much later show. I decided to skip the Sunny Voyages shows and just get to this one instead. I know we had the GCW stuff I haven't reviewed just yet, and various other ones. So we'll see what happens. But for now, this is what the plan is. So I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.